with that, we have finished, we have completed as much of, at least, that we're going to do of Dark Souls 2. For the record, the things that we skipped are like a few like exploration areas in the gutter, the Ancient Dragon, the Gank fight, and the Dark Lurker. And I think that's it. Was there anything else, Eve? Or was that it? That might have been it. I think there might have been one more thing that we listed off that I don't remember what it is now. Blue Smelter, right. I already put that one out of my mind. Lewd and Zool in the reindeer area. Yeah, okay. So, to recap, the things that we skipped is some exploration in the gutter, Lewd and Zool behind the reindeer area in the winter DLC, the Blue Smelter, which I don't remember where they are, but they can just go away. The Gank fight, which I think is in the gutter, and then the Ancient Dragon. We skipped the Ancient Dragon because I didn't want to fight it. Not because I was worried about being able to do the fight, but because I didn't think that it was a fight that was necessary. You walk up, it talks to you, it's nice, it gives you the thing that you came here for, and then you're like, cool, and then you just leave. I didn't feel the need to fight it. So, the Gang Squad is in the first DLC, which you dislike. Well, I did dislike that first DLC a lot. You are correct. So, those are the things that we did not complete on our very first playthrough of Dark Souls 2. In terms of what I thought about the game, though, I hated Dark Souls 1. Now, I've also been told in some ways that I ruined the experience of Dark Souls 1 for myself, in that I chose super heavy armor, big wompy weapon. We finished the game in Havel's armor using the Black Knight Greatsword and just killed most enemies in most bosses on the first try and in 1 to 3 hits. And I've been told that that is ruining the experience, but it's the direction we went, and it was the direction that worked. But legitimately, like, Dark Souls 1, I do not feel is a good game. I would give the game like a 4 out of 10 if I needed to give it a score. There was almost nothing that I enjoyed about Dark Souls 1 at all. I don't understand why people love that game as much as they do. And talking to as many people as I did about the Dark Souls series, as well as just Soulsian games as general, as while we have been doing this Two Dead Dude series of playing through Soulsian games, a lot of people talked really bad about Dark Souls 2. A lot of people said it was terrible, that it was awful, it's the worst Dark Souls game, that it's a shame, it's a stain on From Software's legacy of making Soulsian games. And honestly, I feel like every single aspect of Dark Souls 2 is better than Dark Souls 1. I would probably sit Dark Souls 2 at like a weak 7, like a strong 6, a weak 7 out of 10. Like, I immensely enjoyed this game compared to Dark Souls 1. Like, the worst parts of Dark Souls 2 is the very beginning, which I feel like we might have hamstringed ourselves at the very beginning, because a lot of people were giving us the advice of, like, you want to get your adaptability up to 25 so you max out your iframes. And that's what we did. We didn't put points in anything else. We went straight into adaptability, and I felt like that really hurt our damage and our health to be able to fight enemies reasonably, since we dumped everything into a stat that actually didn't give us any stats. It just gave us iframes. So I feel like if we would have chosen our initial levels differently, the beginning of the game might have been better than it was for us. But I can't go back now and redo the beginning of the game for the first time, but just an observation on that. But although I still feel like the beginning of Dark Souls 2 was unreasonably punishing. Like, these games are punishing, and part of the reason that we play these games, part of the reason that Soulsian games are enjoyable is because they're punishing in the amount of just ridiculous satisfaction and, like, rush that you get from getting through something that was challenging by defeating that boss that was really in your way, that was really hard, or just the chunkiness of some of the fights in terms of, like, how hard you're hitting and how hard you're getting hit, to where, like, even if you kill the boss on the first or second try, you still just get this exhilarating rush when you do beat a boss. And that is 100% why people play these games. I mean, there might be other reasons, but I do believe that is the core reason that people play these games, because of the satisfaction, the payoff that you get when you do finally conquer that next obstacle, that next challenge. And I really enjoyed a lot of what this game had. There's like all of the Dark Souls games, really a lot of Soulsian games in general, are clunky in their own way. Like that's kind of part of it, is that they're kind of clunky because they're almost always even still exploring a pretty new space. I've not played some of the absolute newest ones. Like I've not played Dark Souls 3, which I'm told is immensely better than 1 or 2. I've not played Sekiro yet, and so maybe those smoother experiences offer something differently today. I've been mostly playing through a lot of the games that I missed since I had just been kind of leaving this genre by the wayside for the longest amount of time. So maybe it does get smoother, it gets better, but Dark Souls 2 anyway is still clunky. Not as clunky as Dark Souls 1. A couple of things that did kind of, like, if I'm just to name a couple of like clunky bits, is that you can end up getting hit by an enemy when they are in the very beginning of their animation swing. So they can be bringing their weapon up behind them to swing down at you, and like you'll get too close and hit them, and you'll get hit at the same time as them. That I didn't care for, because that felt like I was getting robbed out of like taking advantage of the opening that they were giving, because I'd still take the damage anyway. The other thing is that sometimes like you're targeting an enemy and your guy just swings the wrong direction, even though he's like looking at him, but he was just like, he moved, and even though I'm still looking at him, I'm gonna swing over to the left. So, you know, but as long as you're like keeping track of your character and being patient, really, that's mostly avoidable, but it was still an annoyance. And the Dark Souls series, at least Dark Souls 1 and 2, they are aggressive at making wall collision infuriating. Like, I've played a lot of these games up to this point, and, well, I say a lot. I've played a good number of them at this point, and some of them, like, walls almost don't exist, and some of them are just, like, are in a good spot. And some of it could be level design, because there's, like, a lot of narrow corridors and hallways in Dark Souls 1 and 2, which is, like, realistic in terms of world design, but that doesn't make it enjoyable to fight in, especially when you can barely clip a wall and your dude's like, and just leaves himself open because his blade nicked a wall. There's also newer ones like Blue Fire, Shadow Tale, of the Forgotten. I think I have some of those. If I had to tier list the series, it'd be Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 2, and Sekiro. No. Mostly just because I think Dark Souls 1 currently is in competition for the worst of these games that I have played. The only one that might compete with it, and I'm not even going to actually put it in the classification, is the Surge, because I did not do the Surge correct justice. I need to go back and replay the Surge 1, properly finish it, and properly give it the attention that it deserves. But Dark Souls 1 is trash, and I stand by that. And now that's it. That's my opinion. So, but absolutely, I believe that Dark Souls 1 is a garbage game that I will never touch again unless someone pays me an obscene amount of money, because I have absolutely zero desire to play that game again because I feel like it is awful. But back to Dark Souls 2. One thing that I will say also about Dark Souls 2 is that Dark Souls 2, from all of the Soulsian games that I have played, has my favorite boss fight up to this point. Before this, my favorite fight was probably Lady Maria in Bloodborne, but Lady Maria is almost like a juiced up PvP fight, because you're just fighting another hunter, but the way that fight plays out, it's almost kind of like a dance, in the way that like you're both able to parry one another and get viscerals, and the way that you rotate around, it's almost like you're doing this dance to the death. Lady Maria, that's just a really fun fight, in my opinion. But Dark Souls 2 currently has what I believe to be my favorite fight in any of these games. It is in the DLC, and it is, I can't remember his full name, but he's a dragon, and his name is Sin. I don't know what the rest of his title is. So maybe someone in the chat will let me know. But Sin, by far, absolutely, is going to be a fight that I remember until something dethrones it as the most incredible fight that I have experienced in one of these games. Because there's a lot of big wompy monsters, a lot of big monsters in these games that all fight like big wompy monsters, because like you can fight a giant, Sin the Slumbering Dragon, thank you Eve. You can fight a giant and it's this big slow thing that clunks down with these big attacks, and if you get hit by the attack it's really punishing, and then you just move out of the way, you hit its foot a couple of times. And a lot of these fights function the same way, even when you're fighting something like a dragon. I did watch the Ancient Dragon fight in Dark Souls 2, and it works the same way. It's just a big thing. It'll occasionally jump up in the air and breathe some fire down, but it immediately comes back down, and then you just hit its foot a few times, and it swipes, and you hit its foot a few times, and eventually it dies. And I can't remember the name of the big black dragon that's in the DLC of Dark Souls 1, but it largely functions the same way. Occasionally it'll jump up and breathe a line of fire, and then you just calamite. Thank you, Eve. And then it comes back down and you just do the same thing. Like, it'll rear back and like swipe in front of it, and then it sits down and you hit its foot a few times. Sin the Slumbering Dragon is the only dragon fight or any big like winged creature fight in any of these games that I felt like I was fighting a big winged beast. And it was such a centerpiece of boss design, because now anytime I see a dragon fight, I'm like, you got wings, bro. Why the hell aren't you using them? And Sin uses his wings a lot, and it makes it frustrating because like you're a knight on the ground and you're like, come down here so I can slay you. And he's like, nah, I'm just gonna breathe poison at you. And you're like, well, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I wouldn't come down to me either. I got a big pointy stick. So one thing at least that I will put the golden medal on for Dark Souls 2 is currently having the best boss fight that I have ever experienced. Unfortunately, it's also behind one of the worst zones that I have ever experienced. The zone that Sin the Slumbering Dragon is in is right trash. In fact, all of the zones for Dark Souls 2 DLC are not great. The winter one is acceptable for the most part. It is acceptable for the most part, aside from one section. But otherwise, it's okay. The other ones are trash, and I don't like them. So, yeah. So, after this, we're going to be playing through Code Vein, and I did a first impression on Code Vein, and I'm looking forward to actually properly playing through the game. I was looking forward to Code Vein a lot. I bought it, I pre-ordered it with the deluxe edition, so I already have all the DLC. I was like, yeah, anime vampire cyberpunk Dark Souls, give it to me. And I just never got around to playing it. But now I have a legitimate excuse to playing it, so yeah, that's what we're going to play next. And then after that, I believe it's Nioh 2, and then we'll be getting into Dark Souls. No, not Dark Souls 3. Hellpoint's in there first, which I've heard very mixed things about. So yeah, next will be Code Vein, and then Nioh 2, and then Hellpoint, and then Dark Souls 3. So yeah, it's something that sounds like you're looking to joining us for, since I've apparently turned this into something that I now know that I am going to chop up, edit, and put onto the main YouTube channel. If you want to join us for that, we do stream Soulsian games specifically on Thursdays, starting at 4 p.m. Alaska time. That's GMT -9. Every Thursday, outside of if I'm gone for one reason or another, that's what we're streaming. We just got done with Dark Souls 2, going to be starting up Code Vein. So come join us. Backseating is absolutely allowed. A lot of the times chat will guide me so we don't waste too much time, because I get lost, because that's what happens in some of these games, especially Dark Souls. And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm not super into Dark Souls, is I know one of the things that people herald Dark Souls 1 about is the way that its world is like a Celtic knot, and that it always keeps on looping back in on itself with the different pathways, and I just don't care. Like, I don't. I really liked Nioh a lot for the way that it has these tiered sections, these defined levels. Bloodborne, in a lot of ways, was kind of the same way of that. Like, you had a pretty defined path. The zones were very defined, and then you beat a boss and you moved on to the next zone. I am not entranced by the closed open world of Dark Souls 1 or 2. I was told that Dark Souls 2 was a corridor. It's not. It's not. It's a freaking labyrinth, man. You have a little bit more of a defined path, but this game is a labyrinth. But To conclude, I enjoyed Dark Souls 2. Not inclined to play it again, but I did enjoy it, which is more than I can say for Dark Souls 1. So, if you do come join us in the live stream, or if you go watch one of those other YouTube videos, I appreciate it a lot, and thank you, and enjoy.